Addicts have morals.
Right.
We can acknowledge that. The problem is they don't follow their morals. They can't. They just compulsively, obsessively can't. With the same obsession that they go toward the substance that they're abusing, because you can abuse behaviors too, right? They go to those behaviors in order to satisfy the need for the pleasure that overrides the original sin, so to speak. Do you know what I'm getting at? No. They know what are morals? Morals is knowing the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
But being able to follow them is another thing that they can't do.
Well, yeah, and you're getting into another question, which is what are morals? Because are morals an internal thing or an external thing? We have a conscience, right? We have to follow our conscience.
That's correct.
So that sense of morality, a lot of people, me included, and I'm sure you, believe that morality exists beyond external, any simple human intervention, right? It doesn't just come about from society and creating laws.
That's right.
It's like there's a morality behind that.
That is correct.
Right?
Morality is not there are social constructs that are moral, but that's not where it comes from. That's not where your morality comes from. You're born with morality. And what happens is that people know the difference between right or wrong, but then when they violate that, they have a need that causes pain. That's where the restlessness, irritability, discontentment comes from, because it's called resentment. They start to resent things. Like when we talk about 12 steps. 12 steps has a fearless searching moral inventory.
Yeah.
Because they know that that's what you have to look at. You have what they call a fourth step inventory. They have 4 columns, right? On the right side, there are 2 columns on the left side where you list all the rotten, dirty things that people have done to you, the things that pissed you off in your life. I mean, for your whole lifetime in your life, you put down all of those people that violated you, and they're legitimate. Many.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and then you have the next column over, which is you actually put what they did.
Okay.
Right. You're looking at this and you're reliving it. And then you have 2 columns on the right-hand side, which is how it affected you.
Yeah.
And how that caused what they call the flaws in your makeup, your selfishness, self-centeredness, made you fearful, resentful.
There's the morality.
There's morality. Correct. There is a morality. So that's a moral inventory. That's what you did because they did that.
Right. So I'm saying, so now you're identifying why you're an immoral person. But you're still admitting that you're an immoral person.
No, you're not an immoral person. You have an innate morality, but you've violated it, and that's what caused the pain.
Well, that would make you an immoral person.
It makes you behave against your morality. Okay, you
behave immorally. Okay. I think you're going on a rhetorical argument with me.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't mean to be rhetorical.
All I'm adding is that you're doing 2 things at once, which both seem extremely important. You're actually looking at the injustices in your own life from other people.
Correct.
And then you're identifying how those made you act badly.
Okay. Yeah. Right. You're treading on dangerous wording here.
Well, I'm trying not to. I like my wording, which is that you became an immoral person. You're immoral. You have a morality problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. You have morality exists. You're an immoral person. Okay. And you are a dirty, rotten, immoral person.
Let's say
that needs to change your behavior because you have these character defects caused by all these other bad things that happen to you, right?
Yes.
So you're using both at once. You're saying, yes, this is all my fault. This is all my responsibility. I'm an immoral person and that much change, while acknowledging how that happened in the first place. So you're treating the cause instead of just looking at the symptoms. You're doing both.
That's the thing.
But you're not blaming the cause, because it does become your responsibility to because it's every person's on earth responsibility to stop that sort of flow, right?
Yeah, right. So it's not. So a good way to put it actually is: are you amoral or immoral? You're doing immoral things, but no one is amoral. You do have morals.
All right. Now we sorted it out.
Okay. Yeah. So, but what you said is important, because it is, when you look at causes, it's causes and effects. In the modern addiction models that they could look at the neurology, and they look at, the brain chemistry, and they try to manipulate that, and they try to make people feel better, but that doesn't change them as people.
Yeah, but the thing, what happens is they'll address the quote unquote trauma, the past trauma.
Right.
But they won't address the fact that that actually makes you into a bad person. They won't.
It makes you behave very badly. Yes.
Right. They won't admit that part. They'll excuse the bad behavior with the trauma. Right. They'll say, "Oh, I can't help it. I'm, I was."
No, it's very dangerous. You can't say, "Look, I'm this immoral person. I use drugs because my father was a scoundrel."
Yes.
Or because my mother faced me the wrong way on a toilet when I was an infant, or whatever. Whatever. Well,
or that's why I'm a philanderer.
I think modern psychiatry is beyond that.
Like that's why I'm a philanderer. That's why I'm a cheat. That's why I wrong people and I disrespect people because I was treated so badly when I was a kid. But they do that. They actually do that. That's the thing about therapy is there's a lot of talk about the self and about, what happened here, what happened there. This is why I did this. This is why I did that. And they use it as justification.
It's the blame game.
Yeah. And they're just blaming other. I mean, I've seen parodies of it where it's like, oh yeah, I canceled I can't show up. We had a plan today. We were going to meet, we were going to get lunch. But last minute I'm canceling because I just need a mental health day. Just my mental health is I'm so bothered today by the injustices of the world that I am canceling, even though you're halfway there, I'm not going to show up.
Right.
And that's supposed to be like, oh, I understand. Okay. Yeah. But that's not how it works. No, you're a selfish person. Right. That's selfishness. So,
but it's still downstream of the original cause.
It is.
So they look at they look at the reward circuitry inside the brain and the dopamine and all of these little these what they call them behavioral loops that people keep repeating, doing the same thing over and over again, even though the results are going to be bad. Mm-hmm. And they can explain neurologically why a person can't stop using, why they become physically addicted, but they don't go to the cause. They don't get down to the cause, which is always going to be an emotional response, an improper emotional response to an injustice or an unfairness or a cruelty or something that's been perpetrated upon them.
Yeah.
And that's where forgiveness comes in. And when you look at this inventory like that, it's a big, process that people go through in 12 steps. You look at that and you say, oh my God, I did this to myself. And that's by reacting improperly, not reacting with love, not reacting with forgiveness to other people.
Yes.
Who did the injustice. Becoming resentful comes down to resentment.
So that's this weird, you enter this paradox where it's like, is it my fault or not?
Yeah.
Right.
And
the answer is yes.
It is your fault, of course.
No, the answer is both, is what I mean. It's like, it's not your fault in that these injustices, you had no say in them. They were destined to happen to you.
Correct.
But it is your fault in that you responded to them in a way you weren't supposed to. And I guess that's where free will comes in, right? Where it's like you had the decision. And even if you didn't know it because you grew up, it's like, oh man, but at some point you have to come to terms with the fact that it is not your place to judge these things and become resentful and hold on to grudges and instead you have to let go of that and begin to love. And that's when you can lose these effects, like selfishness, self-centeredness, things like that.
We live in an imperfect world. This is not paradise. We lost paradise a long time ago. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be able to meet and confront the cruelties of the world and surpass it and to conquer them by loving instead of hating.
Right.
And if you don't learn how to do that, you will be in pain and you will seek these psychotropic behaviors and substances in order to feel better about yourself. And that's where and then they get physically addicted. And then scientists and clinicians and doctors come along and they look and they say, they look at the neurology involved. They say, well, this is what's wrong. They give medications, they give therapy to try to counteract that without actually getting to the cause, what caused you to become that way. Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
I do. But like I say, they talk about the causes and those just become excuses for continued bad behavior.
True, but they're still looking at the downstream effects. They're looking at the neuroadaptive aspects of the brain and how it gets rewired and the reward circuitry.
Oh, yeah,
it's all downstream of the original cause.
Like we were just talking about psychedelics, right the other day. And they're using those to sort of like wipe your brain and then rebuild it. Right. I mean, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
That's right.
Not your memories, but the circuitry, the pathways. But
the missing piece is the cause, and they don't look at the cause, and that's why they don't really solve the addict's problem.